She makes sure that whether it's inside the walls or outside of the walls, that she goes above and beyond in everything that she does. Melanie has a willingness and a desire to help her colleagues grow as well. She often and constantly shares her ideas and is willing to co-teach with teachers and allow them to come watch her. Her colleagues genuinely want to help everyone in the building with her, and she always has the best interest of not her students, but all the students at William Mandan in mind. She works tirelessly to create thought-provoking and challenging 21st century lessons that are fun and engaging for the students. In addition, as a team leader, she has helped her team improve communication with parents and guardians regarding the positive behaviors exhibited and welcomes new teachers to make them feel at home and to mentor them. The Teacher of the Year nominations for Melanie poured in, with raving recommendations as to why she was the most deserving candidate. This is Melanie's 11th year teaching social studies at William Mandan Middle School. When asked about teaching this award, Teacher of the Year, Melanie said, "I'm so thrilled and honored to be selected as the 2016-17 William Mandan Teacher of the Year. American history is my passion, and I strive to share that enthusiasm with all of my students. My philosophy is to use hands-on, experiential learning to impact content as well as cultivate a love for history and an interest in current events. There is nothing better than seeing your students make the connection between what we are studying in class and the events that are happening around the world. My favorite activity for my students are content-specific breakout boxes, which is a collaborative learning experience modeled after escape rooms. And Ms. Dupuy actually came to see me early in the year and explained to me that she wanted to do escape rooms in her classroom. And I looked at her and I said, "Okay, can you talk to me a little bit about more what an escape room means?" For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's an interactive lockbox where students use certain cues in history to figure out a hidden message. Mrs. Dupuy is an amazing educator who continues to push herself and her children educationally with limitless boundaries. Melanie, congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Huda. Okay. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It was really a privilege to be able to celebrate all of our students tonight and also to celebrate our Teachers of the Year. We are going to move on to the next portion of our meeting. I'm sure there are some students here that might like to move on to other interests. However, I would like to just ask everybody to give one more big round of applause for all of our students, all of our parents and teachers. Great job. Thanks for coming out tonight.
We're just going to wait a minute.
So thank you for those brave souls who have decided to stay. I just feel totally not worthy. I am so thrilled and delighted at the success of our teachers and other staff members and our students, and the rest of the meeting will be anti-climactic in comparison. With that, we're up to item number 10, the superintendent's report. We have 2 items. May I have a motion, please? Mrs. Woolridge is second. Mr. Fry. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne? Mrs. Gray? Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond? Mrs. Corn? Mrs. Woolridge? Mrs. McKeon? Mrs. Swindle?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes, and I believe Mr. Markarian has something to report.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Fackelman, who has patiently and kindly been waiting there, not only to celebrate for our teachers and our students, but also just in case anybody had any questions about the first item under superintendent's report, since it is an overnight trip for the marching band to go to Florida. I know board members received information, but I asked Michael, could you please just come in case anybody has any questions? So thank you for staying, Michael, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Actually, can I ask a question?
So close. I was so close.
Does the band do fundraising to help pay for the expense? Because I noticed it's a relatively hefty price.
So close.
Sorry.
I'll speak loud. Yes, they do a series of fundraising, and also March Band parents, they help present the March Band competition in the fall. So there's a large sum of money that is also going to go toward the, and any student that shows a hardship, they have provisions for that.
Excellent. Did you have a thought? Right? Thank you. All right, so we are now up to item number 11, which is public comment on agenda items. This is the time for anyone to come up and address the board on any item that is on tonight's agenda. Once again, when you come up, please state your name and address, limit your comment to 5 minutes, and make sure you sign in when you're done. So with that, are there any public comments on agenda items? All right. So public comment on agenda items is closed. We are now up to the approval of minutes. May I have a motion, please? Anyone? Dr. Dunn, second Mrs. Woolridge. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Yes.
Mrs. Woolridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McKeon? Mrs. Swindle?
Yes.
Madam President?
We are now up to item number 13, the annual appointments. There is a lengthy list. I need a motion for items number 1 through 8. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Fry, second Mrs. Woolridge. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Yes.
Mrs. Woolridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McKeon?
Yes.
Mrs. Swindle?
Yes.
Madam President?
We are now up to finance. I believe we need a motion for items number 1 through 35, but I think there is an additional attachment that goes with one of them. So first, may I have a motion? Mrs. Woolridge, may I have a second? Please. Mrs. Corn, thank you. Mrs. Woolridge, do you want to report and talk about what we're going to do for this?
Okay, so I'm first going to report on the May 17th expected by the end of May. And an increase of 8% is expected, which is within the budgeted amount. Only one other insurance provider, Aetna, submitted a competitive quote. And then, the next is the Cedar Hill and Liberty Corner lighting projects. The Cedar Hill lighting project was completed over spring break, and the Liberty Corner lighting project, which includes outside lighting, was postponed due to rainy weather. It was scheduled to be complete by May 20th.
We got part of it done this weekend, and they still have part of it that remains to be done for another then, so we anticipate it'll be done within a week. It's not a very big project.
Right, it's just the weather,
Yeah.
I guess, not the property.
But I think what happened is they came on Saturday to do the project, and they got through it, and said they needed some additional components that they could recommend.
So the next item is Somerset County Educational Services Commission and Aramark Bus Driver Collaboration. A meeting between the Somerset County Educational Services Commission Transportation Department and the Aramark cafeteria employees is scheduled for this Friday, May 26th at 10 a.m. in the Ridgeway Cafeteria. The purpose of the meeting is to recruit additional school bus drivers. The meeting is mandatory for all Aramark cafeteria employees. A flyer was distributed to the Aramark staff on May 16th. That includes the following information: a $1,000 signing bonus, an attendance bonus of up to $1,350, $15.25 per hour to start, and guaranteed work of 4.5 hours per day. The starting hourly wage for a bus driver is higher than the hourly wage for an Aramark cafeteria worker. The Somerset County Ed Services Transportation Department also will train new drivers to take the commercial driver's license written test, and will also provide training on the school bus checklist, which is a required part of the commercial driver's license written test. And now I'll just run through the agenda items. Items 1 through 3 are the usual recurring items. Item 4 is for professional development. I just wanted to know, in order to comply with accountability regulations, board approval is required for the cost of attending the New Jersey School Board Workshop in October. Item 6 is a resolution that adds security benefit as an authorized 403B vendor under the approved and adopted 403B plan, and also approves the amended 403B investment service provider agreement, and that's the attachment. Items 7 through 14 are annual appointments for board attorney services, property and casualty insurance services, auditor, policy service provider, and other services for the 2017-18 school year. Item 16 was school groups that are covered by the district's insurance. Item 19 is a list of approved 403B providers, and security benefit has been added to the list. Item 20 approves the facility of schools for 2017-18. Items 22 to 24 are district positions. Item 25 is construction council. Item 26 is tuition rates for the 2017-18 school year. Item 27 appoints Advocate as a facilities consultant for 2017-18. Item 28 appoints Advocate to monitor food services for 2017-18. Item 29 is the health insurance benefits broker. Item 30 awards the 2017-18 custodial maintenance grounds and management services contract to Aramark. Items 31 to 35 are services for existing special education students required by their IEPs. Does anyone have any questions on any of the items?
Mr. Fry?
I have a question about the project, the two projects that we managed. Did we decide to combine them together? Where does that stand?
The HVAC projects, yes. So the decision was, after the engineer looked at the size of the project and realized that the HVAC project would have been one of the largest that we did. I think it's roughly 49 units. We haven't done anything of that size yet in the entire building here. And what we're talking about is the renovation and restructuring of some of the classrooms in the science wing, as well as the removal of the curtain wall from that back portion of the building here that the scope and magnitude of that project is something that would be a real test to try to get all of that done in an 8-week period, which is normally what we have in the summer to do it. So it's been split into 2 projects. If I remember correctly, the board awarded the contract to Spiesel to begin the design for the first phase, although they really have to join them as a joint project, if you will, because a lot of what's being done in phase 1 will put in place, in terms of the actual construction, the electrical supply for the remainder of what will be done in the following summer. So the objective right now would be to be out to bid sometime in the early fall for the first half, which is the front half of the building, basically for 24, 25 years, just a pure HVAC project, to be done in the summer of 18, and then complete the design after that, in between, before we actually go out to bid for the second summer's bid, which will be in summer of 19. Yeah, that's correct, 19.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions before we vote? So can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Abstain.
Mrs. Holdridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Swerman?
Yes.
Madam President?
We are now up to personnel. I need a motion for items number 1 through 30, please. Mrs. McEwen, a second. Mrs. Richmond. Mrs. McEwen, do you have anything to report?
As you can see from the agenda, it's spring time, so there's a lot of personnel items. Personnel committee met on Friday, but I did not attend the minutes yet, so I'm not sure.
Any questions before we vote? Mr. McLaughlin?
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Holdridge?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Swerman?
Yes.
Madam President?
All right, now policy, we need a motion for item 1 and 2. And 3, 1 through 3. May I have a motion? Mrs. Gray, may I have a second, please? Mrs. Horn, thank you. Mr. Fry, anything to report?
Yes, we have a lot to report. We have 17 policies that we're coming over. We started out with the committee minutes. We first discussed regarding homework regulation R2330, in particular with respect to the maximum amount of time elementary student homework is estimated to take. The committee was informed that the superintendent had reviewed the policy with the administrative team, and the elementary principals have reviewed it with the teachers. Of note is one word that will be changed in describing the elementary time limits. The time limits are a function of the grade level, not the subjects in each grade. So the regulation will undergo a change. The word subject will be switched to grade level. Also in grades K through 2, teachers cannot assign reading in addition to the 15 minutes of homework. Now the policies. The first policy is 0.02, which is really just an introduction to the bylaws, policies, and regulations. They're just updated definitions in the policies. Policy 2415.06, unsafe school choice option. This is a policy that's been revised, and many of these are revised just by small wording changes. But the unsafe school choice policy requires that students who attend a persistently dangerous public elementary or secondary school as determined by the NJDOE be allowed to attend a safe public school within the district. Some wording and coding has been updated, and fortunately we have no unsafe schools in our district, so it's not appropriate. The next policy of regulation is 2460, special education education. The Berners Township Board of Education assures compliance with Part B of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and will have programs and procedures in effect. This policy has some updated wording and coding along with the regulation. Regulation 2460.1, special education, location, identification, and referral. All pupils with disabilities who are in need of special education and related services, including pupils with disabilities attending non-public schools, and highly mobile pupils such as migrant and homeless pupils, regardless of the severity of their disabilities, are located, identified, and evaluated according to the regulation number, which has some minor wording changes and has been updated. Regulation 2460.8, special education, free and appropriate public education. That just states that public education is available to all pupils with disabilities between the ages of 3 and 21, including pupils with disabilities who have been suspended or expelled from school. There are minor updates to the wording of this regulation. Regulation 2460.9, special education, transition from early intervention programs to preschool programs. Children with disabilities participating in early intervention program assisted under IDEA Part C who will participate in preschool programs will experience a smooth transition and will have an individual education program. There are very small changes in wording and clarification in this regulation. Regulation 2460.15, special education, in-service training needs for professional and paraprofessional staff. The in-service training needs for professional and paraprofessional staff who provide special education, general education, or related services be identified, and appropriate in-service special education training will be provided by the district. No changes were made to this regulation. Regulation 2460.16, special education, instructional material to blind or disabled pupils. No changes were made to this regulation. Policy 2467, surrogate parents and foster parents. Federal and state laws require the board to ensure the rights of the pupil are protected through provision of the individuals to act as surrogate for the parents and assume all parental rights. If the parent cannot be identified or located after reasonable efforts, the Director of Special Services shall serve as surrogate parent coordinator. Policy 2622, student assessment. The Commissioner of Education shall implement a system and related schedule of statewide assessments to evaluate student achievements of New Jersey student learning standards. All students at grade levels 3 through 12 shall take all appropriate statewide assessments as scheduled. There is no provision for a student to opt out of statewide assessments. The Board of Education
That was great.
Shall administer the applicable statewide assessments, including the following major components: the elementary assessments for grades 3 through 5, the middle school assessment for grades 6 through 8, the high school end of course part assessment, and the alternative assessment for students with disabilities. The Board of Education shall maintain for every student in 9th grade a graduation transcript, and all wording has been updated for clarification. Policy and regulation number 3160, physical examination, teachers and staff members. The Board of Education requires each candidate for employment who receives a conditional offer of employment to undergo a physical examination to determine whether the candidate is able to perform job-related functions. The board shall bear the cost of physical examinations and drug tests required by policy performed by a physician or institution designated by the board. However, the candidate shall bear the cost if the examination is performed by a physician or institution designated by the candidate with approval of the board. Wording has been updated for clarification. And policy and regulation 4160 is identical, except it's for support staff as opposed to teaching staff members. Policy and regulation 5116, education of homeless children. The Board of Education will admit and enroll homeless children in accordance with federal and state laws and the New Jersey Administrative Code. The school district of residence for a homeless child is responsible for the education of the child. This policy and regulation has simplified one sentence for clarification. Policy 5465, early graduation, this has been abolished. Policy 7446, school security program. This is a new policy. The safety of students, staff members, and visitors on school grounds is an important concern for the Board of Education. This policy requires us to select the appropriate program for our school district as follows. A school resource officer program in partnership with the municipality and local law enforcement is one, and school direct employee security officer, which is unarmed, is the second. Policy 5460, high school graduation. New Jersey student learning standards have replaced the core curriculum content standards throughout this policy. A graduating student must have earned a minimum of 120 credits in courses designated to meet all of the New Jersey student learning standards for graduation. Statewide assessment graduation requirements. This requirement is that all students demonstrate proficiency in the high school end-of-year PARCC assessment in ELA 10 and Algebra 1 or through alternate means. Beginning with the graduating class of 2021, students who pass all applicable high school end-of-course PARCC assessments for all courses in which they are enrolled. This includes those students who received a waiver for ELA 11. All right. We're now up to the following policies that are scheduled for second reading. And since we went over these, I will just announce the names. This is policy 5111, eligibility of resident and non-resident pupils. Policy 2560, live animals in school. Policy 2429, co-curricular activities. And policy 2430, co-curricular athletic and attendance, which is a new policy. And all of these are on the website.
Thank you, Mr. Fry, for that incredibly thorough report. Are there any questions on any of these fabulous policies before we go? Mr. Byrne?
Yes, I have, I think it's 2429. The students are doing athletics almost 10 months a year in the summer. So that if you're playing football on a football team, you might have to do weight room under coach's supervision in January, February, March, even though it's not the primary time of the season. I'd like some provision to allow non-primary or non-active season periods that the students could go on a classroom visit, a family visitation, or even a family vacation. Coach under the rules provided here, I think, can say to the student or the player, no, you can't go on a family vacation. Involved in this program, I'd like to have a little more freedom, and not during the active season, but during the inactive season, for a student to go away with his family.
I know Mr. Markarian has the policy over here.
I have here
So the language now talks about the fact, I think you're correct in that the purpose of the policy is to provide an expectation of attendance for co-curricular and athletic activities in the same manner that students are expected to report for school. The policy speaks to this issue in that students can have an absence approved by the principal, the athletic director, or the designated staff member, but there's no provision to guarantee that that approval may occur depending on the circumstances. So it's really more of a judgment call based on the coach, the AD, and the expectation that they're setting. In order to guarantee that that would be able to happen, we'd have to redo the policy. It's not that it can't happen now, but the policy doesn't guarantee that a student going on vacation would be excused from their athletic or co-curricular activities any more than from the expectations for school.
When we had captain's practices and the coaches weren't involved with the students in the inactive sports program periods, you could miss a captain's practice on vacation, but I think the way this new policy is written, the fact that the coaches aren't involved now year long, I would like a little more protection for the student and the family.
Right, so Jay?
Thanks. So, yeah, these battery-powered microphones don't last too long. So anyway, the point I was going to make was that in looking at policy 2429, this is a policy that the district had for many, many years, and when the policy manual was redone in 2013, the numbering didn't match with Strauss-Esme's policy system, and so this policy inadvertently got bumped because it used to be policy 2430. So in order to get the policy back on the books, we recognize that mistake, and we're bringing it back and getting it on the books the way it should be and the way that it's always been with our co-curricular and sports team. So even though we're taking this action now, it's really to get it back on the books, a policy that's been in place for a really long time. So I can explain only that we're trying to play catch-up here a little bit, more so than to redo the policy, and that was the purpose of bringing it to the policy committee, just to recognize that there was an inadvertent bumping of the policy because it had a coincidental number with one of Strauss-Esme's policies when we redid the manual. So it's been in effect for a long time. It has a provision where pupils can have a written request submitted in advance of whatever the absence would be to the coach, the advisor, and the athletic director. There's a paragraph that talks about the fact that this request has to delineate the special circumstances that necessitate the absence. That might be different than the board mentioned reasonable absences that we have. So we have a set of reasons that provide for excused absences from school. The same set of reasons applies for being absent from an expected activity for the co-curricular or the athletic, but you can apply for an exception to those standard reasons, but you have to do so in writing at least a week in advance of the activity, and it's supposed to be sent both to the coach and or the athletic director in order to get approval explaining why you want to be absent for something besides one of the excused reasons.
Can I just ask a question for clarification? If I understood Mike correctly, he was saying that if you're a football player and you have winter wellness room workouts, that the student might want to miss that to go on vacation or to go on a college visit. Does the policy prohibit that? Because my understanding of the policy is that it's your in-season sport. So if you're a football player, the football team is active from August whatever until November whatever.
Right, so the policy does talk about the conflict in expectations because, I can't speak for every single situation where a coach or an advisor may want a student to be involved in more than one thing at a time. I would think that the activity in season, the sport in season would certainly prevail, but it does speak to the fact that sometimes kids are in conflict in even their co-curricular activities, and you have to be able to work that out. But that's not speaking about going on vacation and missing because you're choosing to go away somewhere with your family. I would tend to agree with you, it doesn't really speak to that in the policy per se about which season, and having expectations for students to do things out of season. But you do have, summer practice in season, even for football, starts, in summer. And I think that's probably the most challenging area. Or at other times when you have something scheduled over break, we know that we have a strange schedule. Sometimes with our spring break, it wouldn't line up with many other schools, so we have activities and competitions that might be going on the week that, school is out, and students still have competitions that they're expected to be part of. So that's a challenge. I can't say specifically for an extra practice workout session that's not in season. I can't speak for every coach or the AD who's not here tonight, but I don't think that there would be a penalty of some kind to a student being asked to do work outside of a season. That doesn't ring accurately to me, but I wouldn't be able to speak for every situation without speaking to the AD and some of the coaches.
And I remember having this discussion about this preseason, captain's practices and practices on the off season and stuff. And sometimes they're kind of strongly recommended that kids go and often the pressure to go, but it doesn't really apply. That's my understanding. You know what I mean? That the kids can't be able to be there before the season starts. So it doesn't mean kids don't feel like, oh, if I don't show up, it might affect like the starting positions. Because I think that's where the pressure comes in.
Right.
For a lot of sports. That's
So-
my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, it does speak to preseason practices, right? It says that all pupils must report to preseason practices beginning with the first announced practice/tryout, okay? When it officially starts, right? So that tryout is usually that beginning. You haven't started competition yet, but you're doing tryouts and you're expected to be there from that point on, even though it's preseason before the team is actually formalized and you start having formal practices and competition. So it does speak to that. It does say that the pupils have to be there for those preseason practices beginning with the first announced practice/tryout. That's the wording.
And I have had family experience anyway, with when we were supposed to be in this program's out-of-season practice, or another program out-of-season practice. Neither one of them were main season, but both coaches were involved in the junior nature. I would just like to see the students' perspective. And as I recall, there was someone who came a while back arguing that they couldn't take the family medication because their child was in 3 sports. They couldn't, they were from another state, and they wanted to come home once a year. And they weren't allowed to, and they were squeezed. Well, I have a little bit different problem because it's an active season year round. But I have a problem with the inactive season where a coach would say, you must do weight room in February. You can't go skiing, you can't go on vacation. That's just troubling.
I don't have a room full of coaches here with me right now, but I just don't foresee that. I tend to agree with Karen that if it is outside of even the preseason initial time frame that's prescribed, that there wouldn't be a penalty. I think there may be recommendations that you work out in the off season, that maybe you work out in February, but if it's football, say, and you have to report by August 14th for football, I don't see that's that official start time that you have to start, that you're starting to be expected to be there, which would be different than February workouts, which might be encouraged, even strongly encouraged, but not required.
Any other questions before we go? Mr. O'Brien?
I'm just going to say, I think all sports have a start time, and depending on how far the season goes, but there are set times for when practice can be held.
Thank you.
I just want to say that everyone knows how I feel about P2622.
So I just want to throw that there. Yes, that's what it says.
Assuming that the policy gets approved, I am going to submit a request to change it after the approval. As you know, I'm on the board because 30 years ago I had a problem with the coach. And the school board denied a college visitation, even though the school had invited us. And when we got back, we missed 2 practices. And one of my sons was kicked off the team for missing 2 practices. And when I asked and then the school board took 90 days, by the way. And at the end of 90 days, they said they weren't going to address the issue. The principal apologized to my wife because we had permission from the principal of the school, high school. Anyway, after 90 days, the school attorney came forward and told us that the school board was not going to address the issue. And it was not in our court. So we hired a lawyer, and we went to court, administrative law judge, and the school attorney went forward at the start of that trial and said the Burns have no right to make an application or a request here because 90 days went by. What he didn't say was the school board took the 90 days, so that we didn't have the 90 days when they got done. But 90 days went by.
The good news now is I think we're more
Okay.
responsive.
No, wait a minute. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I told you there's another situation in high school already that I could talk to. So they asked the coach, and the coach allowed no cuts. And they asked the coach, would you rather have had the Burns take off during the school year rather than on vacation? And the coach said, some days you can go to Ridge High School all day long and not let the thing. But my practices are always beneficial to the kids to perform and come, so they had to come. So, you know, when you tell me that everybody is always reasonable, everybody is always doing the right thing, that's not true. I like to protect the children, so if you want to vote 8-1, I'm going to vote against this, and I am going to submit a request to amend the policy.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to vote, and you can certainly put in a request to send the policy back to policy for reconsideration. And just think how history might have been different if your son had been allowed to go on that college visit back then.
Well, he did go, he just didn't get allowed.
All right, can we have a roll call now, please?
Mr. Byrd?
Yes, on everything except for 24, 29, 24, 30.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Abstain.
Mrs. Woodruff?
Yes.
Mrs. Pugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Swell?
Yes.
Madam President?
I'm going to let Mr. Markarian digress for just a moment off the agenda.
Just to make sure we get the record correct, Mr. Byrne, it was 24-29 that you were voting no on, correct? The one about co-curricular and athletic attendance?
That's the one, yes.
Okay, 24-29. Just want to make sure we get
I have that.
Okay.
I just have one more comment to make. Two of our sons went. One was on the basketball team, and he went on the same, he missed a practice as well. He stayed on the team when he got back because that coach said, he went on a college visitation with the head coach, said, no, no cuts allowed. So there's a great diversity between coaches and what they think is right, and what they think is wrong. And another classic example is the email that we just got on the 10 girls on the cheerleading team. And the coach doesn't want to have a larger team because he might not win the state championship, so he keeps that number down. And so the extra kids who want to participate are limited. So coaches are very involved, I can tell you. They're a very important part of the school.
Okay, so I'm sorry to have to take a quick side turn here. We noticed that inadvertently there was an extraordinary aid application page accidentally photocopied and included in the agenda. That's the very last non-page of the agenda, just by accident. So I was kind of walking around there collecting those from folks. But I see Ms. Stotler there. She's kindly offered, if you have an inadvertently included last page to your agenda that says Special Education Extraordinary Aid at the top, she is standing up and be happy to collect that back from you, and I would ask that you give it to her if you have that last page. Thank you very much. Sorry about that error.
All right, now we are up to item number 17, Curriculum Committee. First, may I have a motion for items number 1 and 2, please? Dr. Dutton, may I have a second? Mrs. McEwen, thank you. Mrs. Ray, anything to report first?
Yes. The curriculum committee met on May 12th. We were introduced to a pilot program that the College Board has created called AP plus we as an organization. And the concept is to include service in the courses, and they're designated, I think it's 7 courses that it's possible to bring this into your school with, and Ms. Shadis and the counseling department, along with the curriculum department, has elected to pilot this for Ridge with I'm sorry, I'm making so many things at once, with AP Art, which one is it? Art Studio, AP Studio Art 2D Design, and AP Spanish Language and Culture. So that will be coming to Ridge High School in the fall. There's more information online if anyone's interested at advancesinap.collegeboard. There's been a name change to ESL, which there are 3 in the sequence, and the third one is not technically English as a second language, and so it will be renamed to, because it does not actually teach English, it will be renamed to Academic Supports for English Language Learners. We went through a discussion regarding pros and cons for the possibility of the rotating job schedule at Ridge High School. Each department shared their concerns. Generally, the English and the math departments identified similar pros and cons, as well as just some down-the-middle needs for changes. For example, almost unanimously, teachers felt that longer teaching periods would permit wider use of instructional methods, as well as more opportunity for one-on-one time as needed. Many teachers, like the unit lunch, would offer department collaboration for teachers and the opportunity for professional learning communities to get together. There would be needs for changes in lesson plans to readjust to a potential change in the number of minutes in a period. There were concerns about the possibility of ending up with very heavy or light days in terms of the intensity or rigor of any given day of the week. The World Language Department liked the additional time on task and addressed concern or potential concern that ESL teachers must travel from building to building, as well as there are some other world language teachers who travel, and that could present some challenges. In the science department, again, everyone seemed to like more instructional time across the board. The issue of science labs is something that Mr. Miziak is paying close attention to and trying to come up with creative possibilities for should this come to pass. PE department likes the idea of the rotating schedule in terms of the athletics, the students who compete on teams and need to travel and leave school at the end of the day early. Mr. Shell did point out that there could be some concerns with the use of the gym spaces as it relates to setup and cleanup and storage of any cafeteria type tables and chairs and things. Did I skip? Oh, he's not here anymore, but the electives, business, music, theater, and visual arts, they all like very much the idea of additional time, but there are definitely very specific concerns with the music department, some related to the chorus accompanist, as well as just how lessons and instruction for students who are currently taking some type of ensemble during their lunch period. Science lab conflicts could also be a concern. So that's just a general overview. The discussion will continue in the months to come. There were a couple of generic questions that came up. Are traveling teachers unique to Ridge High School? And if not, can we investigate perhaps how someone else might be using rotating drop and having teachers travel? Just some questions about the numbers of students in some of those programs that present unique challenges to the unit lunch. There was a discussion and some information shared by Mr. Shello regarding option 2 and study hall at Ridge High School. Concerns have been expressed regarding the types of activities that are available for students who do participate in PE. And it was outlined that it's a challenge. There are fewer PE teachers because there are fewer students in actual PE classes. So the number of choices has to be limited based on who is available to teach. There was some conversation about the possibility of incorporating wellness and mindfulness skills into future PE units. And Mr. Shell will be looking at that as part of the program evaluation for PE and health this summer. While Aspen is being configured, which is the new student information system, consideration is being given to options that will make the calculation of end-of-course grades for grades 6 through 12 easier to understand. Our 2 items from the agenda that we've already had a motion on are for 2 new textbooks for the multiple levels of AP Physics. And we have a special topics meeting scheduled for this Thursday, May 25th. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. It's coming fast. May 25th on items related to K-5 level. And our next regularly scheduled curriculum meeting is June 9th. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Mrs. Gray? Very thorough. The AP, the 2 new AP courses, do they replace ones that we have already? Or are they
The textbooks, they're just
No,
textbooks.
I mean, from the beginning, the we things.
Oh,
the
I'm
we
sorry.
things, just
Yes.
adding on to the
Well,
one
you know,
we
I should have
have.
explained, that's a great question. They're existing courses, and in fact, the 2 teachers for those 2 subjects say that this service learning piece of the course is something we're already doing here at Ridge High School. They're going to have to figure out the nuances of how to make it work to meet the specific requirements from the college board. But both teachers responded favorably to the idea and thought it worked naturally into what they're already doing in these courses that we already offer at Ridge.
But if we're doing it already, do we need the college boards? If we're already doing what this thing is
Do
doing?
we need what?
Like, you said we're already doing it, we're already doing what the program does.
Right, we're already doing, we fit in naturally with this other opportunity.
Any other questions? So may we have a roll call, please, Mr. McCarthy?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes?
Mrs. Gray?
Yes?
Dr. Benton?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Yes.
Mrs. Poulter?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Swarm?
Yes.
Madam President?
All right, advocacy, is there anything to report this evening? Advocacy reported out in the last board meeting, our next meeting is June 5th. I think we're going to be meeting open in PTO presidents. Yep, very look forward to that. All right, liaison committee reports. I know
The State New Jersey School Board Legislative Committee met a week ago Saturday. Mrs. McEwen and I attended. As usual, the meeting was encompassed by updates on all sorts of legislative issues impacting school districts. The only two that I highlighted for readout that impact us directly is we are in the process of submitting for reimbursement for the lead testing that we did for our water. And there is a new regulation that is going to be published on June 5th. It's going to require carbon monoxide detectors by the boilers in all school buildings. We will have 90 days to comply with the law, and Mr. Markarian has already informed me that Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Harding, our facilities director, are on top of that proactively. Any questions? All right. Mrs. Woolridge, I think you represented us at the State Delegate Assembly.
Yeah. I thought first, though, I'd give a very brief municipal alliance report. Sure. So the municipal alliance met on May 2nd, and just a couple of highlights from the meeting. Caitlin Kordeski reported that the Ridge Against Alcohol and Drugs and the Girls on Track program at William Manning are both going to continue next school year. The RAD students worked on several projects in April, including the Mental Health Resource Fair, Post It and Read It campaign at Ridge High School, collaboration with 6th graders on letters to Ridge seniors before the prom, a vaping brochure for Charter Day, and an information card on fake IDs. The Pathways to Mental Health Resource Fair took place on April 12th. This was a new program, and it's planned again for next year. And there is an event called Hope and Life that will be held June 7th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Millington Baptist Church. This event focuses on suicide, and it's for 7th to 12th graders and their parents. Okay, so this past Saturday, May 20th, I attended the New Jersey School Boards Association Delegate Assembly as the delegate for Bergen Township School District. It was the first time I had ever been to this meeting. The Delegate Assembly meets twice a year and sets the policies that determine the New Jersey School Board Association's positions on educational issues, establishes the bylaws, and elects the NJSBA officers. At this particular meeting, there were 153 delegates from 20 counties. Executive Director Larry Feinstein reviewed the accomplishments from 2016-17 and talked about new initiatives planned for 2017-18. In March, the final report of the Task Force on Student Achievement was issued. It includes 83 recommendations for action by local school boards, individual board members, and the community. The full report is available on the NJSBA website. It does include some recommendations on social emotional learning, so I thought I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it might be interesting to look at certain parts of that report. For the rest of the meeting, the delegates voted on some items in the area of school finance, special education, and student achievement, and also voted on 2 resolutions that were submitted by school districts in the state. So I'm just going to run through a couple items here. Regarding school finance, a new policy was adopted regarding a cap override proposal that was approved in the November election. And currently, school districts are required to raise the revenue in January following the election, which is in the middle of the budget year. And so the new policy states that districts should have the flexibility to increase spending in the current budget year or the subsequent budget year, depending on the purpose of the spending. So that seems sensible. And then regarding special education, the delegates approved additional policy language about standardized assessment of special education students. The current law requires that just about all special education students take standardized assessments at their chronological grade level. And the new language states that standardized assessment of special education students should be focused on measuring the student's growth in the actual curriculum that the student is learning, and that the IEP team should determine the assessment that's appropriate for each individual student. And then we were presented with a resolution about charter schools from the Edison Township Board of Education. And basically, there was a very lengthy discussion on different sides of the issue, and the vote was basically to table the resolution and send it back for reworking. It was interesting. And then there was one resolution from the Waterford
Thank you for representing us there. Are there any questions? I just want to point something out because it was a miraculous statement by Mrs. Wooldridge. She said, "This was the first time I have ever been to this meeting." And for any of you who are familiar with Mrs. Wooldridge and her service on the Board of Education, it is very unusual for Mrs. Wooldridge not to have been to a meeting. She represents us so beautifully in so many different places. So, yay. Thank you for being a first
So I actually did manage to get to Mercer County Community College without leaving the house. Yeah, it's pretty far.
All right, with that, we are up to item number 20, public comment on non-agenda items. That means you are welcome to come up and address the board on any topic at all. State your name and address. Try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Anybody? Is there a working microphone down there?
Jennifer White, 65 Winding Lane. There's been a lot addressed in terms of stress during the school year in the past weeks and Board of Ed meetings. I just wanted to bring up that I think stress is an issue during the summer as well. And I've been looking at all the summer assignments that my kids are going to be faced. I have the incoming 9th grader, and I will have a soon-to-be 11th grader. I think the amount of assignments that these kids get during the summer is getting out of control. And I feel as if from September to June, we don't have as much control. They have to do all these things. But when we hit the summer is for relaxing and to allow your mind to do different things. And I'm not going to address the APs because I get, if you sign your child up for an AP, you're also recognizing these are courses bound by the College Board. We have different timelines. Other schools start in August, and so when they get to that test in May, we're stuck. But I am going to address this in terms of the CP and the honors classes, and I'll start with the English. I have seen my kids go from being voracious readers to hating to read because of these post-it note annotations and graphic organizers. And I tell them from September to June, you have to do it, is what your teachers tell you. But during the summer, they should not have to do these ridiculous post-it notes. You can no longer sit on a beach and read. You can no longer read in bed. You can no longer read on a break when you're at work. You can no longer read in your cabin at summer camp because you have to have a post-it note or your graphic organizer to be able to furiously write notes down. As a past teacher, I can tell you the greatest thing you can tell your kids is to read. But when you make them have to do these post-it note annotations during the summer, you are killing that desire, that pleasure that you can get from reading. I'm not saying that they can't have an assignment of reading. You can say to the kids, if you're in honors, you have to read these 3 books. Here's 3 themes. Pick one of these themes while you're reading. Write a 1-page essay for us, hand in when you come back to school. If a kid wants to do post-its, great. But if they don't, they can just read. But let the kids decide how they want to handle being able to identify whatever the theme is. But I think we've got a couple weeks left before we hit summer, that this is something that can be looked into. In terms of the sciences, I noticed my son is going to have to go online and create an account and do work on the computer. I want him off devices for as long as possible during the summer, and I'm sure a lot of other parents feel that way. It's the summer. Get outside if you're not working. But you shouldn't have to be on your computer to get work done. Send home a packet that they can throw in a suitcase, they can take while they're traveling, that they can take to work on when they have a break from whatever job that they have, that they can work on for an hour at their desk at night when they come home from their job. But it shouldn't be that they have to be in front of a computer, logged on to a certain account, doing online assignments that have to be turned in by a specific date. All this stuff creates stress. It's the same stress that they have from September to June. And unless a child is choosing to take a course during the summer, I really don't think that this is what we should be encouraging for the summer, because then they come back in September, and guess what? They're already burnt out. So I'm just asking you to look at some of these summer assignments and ask yourself, if you were these kids, especially in the high school, who are under tremendous pressure all year long, what are we doing to them by giving them all of this work to do during the summer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ann Lawrence and I live at 76 Blackburn Road. Dear BOE members, the adoption of the Academy model for the STEAM program has had devastating effects on the music program at Ridge. Next year, 50% of the STEAM Academy will be made up of current 8th grade band and orchestra members. They will have to surrender their instruments in June due to the restrictive structure of the STEAM Academy model. The loss of this 50% doesn't even tell the whole story. In some cases, 100% or an entire band section will be lost. For example, next September, all 3 trombones are being lost to STEAM. Or, in other cases, the first chair or the leader or the anchor of a particular section is being lost to STEAM. These all have devastating effects on the band. The concert band, the wind ensemble, the orchestra, the full orchestra, the jazz band, and the marching band greatly suffer from the loss of the education of these musicians. I'm not surprised that the majority of the STEAM students are musicians. There's always been a link between engineering, science, math, and the musician. It is well documented that playing music, not just listening to it, changes the hippocampus, an area of the brain responsible for spatial reasoning. At the University of Rochester's Wind Ensemble concert this spring, the director introduced 27 graduating seniors and gave their majors. I counted only 4 that were not in this engineering or the sciences or math. The director thanked the band members for their time and dedication. He said, "The band tells me it's the music that helps keep them sane with all of their academic demands." His words hit me. Are we putting our STEAM Academy kids at risk by taking away an outlet for them in music? Are we messing or are we reducing the kids' overall potential by removing music from their education? I looked for an example of a brilliant mind in art history, Albert Einstein. I said I wondered if he played an instrument. I wasn't disappointed. He played the violin. As a parent of a French horn playing son who graduated from Ridge in 2016, he is a current biomedical engineering major at the University of Rochester. I understand the importance of a rigorous curriculum and staying competitive in the college market, but not at the expense of sacrificing music and a well-balanced, happy student. The orchestra program under the direction of Jennifer Kern and the band program directed by Dan Segal have reached levels of recognition at that of one of the finest music programs in the state. Bragging rights for Ridge will soon be lost. Sadly, these programs are not being torn down by a lack of community support, a dearth of talent from students or from teacher, but are being dismantled from within by the far-reaching side effects on the arts of the current STEAM Academy model. These effects spread well beyond that of the individual student. Music is at the heart of all celebrations, and it is our Ridge musicians that are called to lead this joyous community, religious, and school events. Here are only a few examples of how Ridge musicians enhance our community. The marching band will be leading the parade celebrating the 300th anniversary of the Basking Ridge Presbyterian Church, June 10th. The marching band will end their long weekend early and will come back to play at the
Memorial Day Parade, thanking our veterans for their service. On June 16th, as fellow students will be celebrating the beginning of summer, the Ridge Wind Ensemble will be playing Pomp and Circumstance as administrators, teachers, parents, and seniors gather to celebrate graduation day. For the past 75 years on Christmas Eve, hundreds of vastly rich people gather to sing Christmas carols, accompanied by brass instrumentalists, several of which were past and present Ridge band members.
Maybe about 1 minute.
The orchestra is asked to play back to school night to serenade parents as they transverse the halls. The Triumph Museum National Honor Society goes out and brings the gift of music to seniors. I was there last week as it was standing room only, and a sigh went through the crowd as the students said that they were done. 35 Ridge musicians played for the school musical again this year, earning the equivalent of the nomination for the Tonys for high school musicians. Fast forward a few short years, and all of these accomplishments will be jeopardized without a full complement of musicians. Please change the structure of the STEM Academy to allow musicians to continue studying the nurturing music they love. Change our program from a STEM program to a true STEAM program. Put the A or arts back into the curriculum. Just don't include arts in the name. Don't miss with the winning formula: science, math, and making music for our future engineers.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, so I'm going to close public comment section right now. As far as the comments from Mrs. White, we have definitely heard what you've had to say. There is a great deal of overlap between our SEL ad hoc committee and our curriculum committee. And our SEL ad hoc committee is actually meeting tomorrow morning. And I saw them taking note of that specific issue to discuss and possibly take to the next curriculum committee meeting. And I see our administrators noting it too. For Mrs. Lordson, I know many of us, if not all of us, read the very thoughtful letter that you sent to us. And quite a few of us shared your concerns. We reached out to Mr. Markarian, who was going to be speaking with Mr. Fackelman, who is responsible for both the music program and the STEAM program, and he's going to give us some feedback now on what he found out.
So the issue really lies in trying to give the students everything that they might like to take. So when you put another offering out there, it can create a crowding problem on the plate. And sometimes kids are in positions where they have to choose what they might like to do the most. And I certainly appreciate the complication of adding the STEAM classes, the STEAM Academy, and trying to meet all the requests of the students and try to give them everything that they might like to have or they might be eligible to take. It's added another layer to trying to accomplish that, and we certainly do try to accomplish that, but the schedule is complicated, and now we're trying to shoehorn in something else and also try to do the music too. It's a challenge. So I did meet with Mr. Fackelman. In fact, I met with Mr. Fackelman, Ms. Wolf, and Mr. Miziak about it to try to think, is there anything that we might be able to do to alleviate some of this? I think the real issue seems to be surrounding band the most because it's not offered at a time during one of the lunch periods. And we have been able to resolve some conflicts with students trying to do both the STEAM Academy and orchestra because there's orchestra available sometimes at lunch. And so you're able to take advantage of the lunch period to try to get the student to be able to keep their music. From what I learned about the master schedule and the music classes, I don't know if we're going to be able to easily resolve that. But we were brainstorming some ideas that are possible. I don't want to go on a limb yet and say what those are because I'm not sure that they're possible resolutions. I didn't have Jill Shadis or Frank Hallett or any of the administrators that actually do the master schedule at Ridge in that meeting. But we have some ideas of things that might alleviate that stress. And certainly, it's not the goal to tear anything down whatsoever. Sometimes in building things up, now kids have more choices, and I appreciate that has created a situation where some of them might be in a position to choose one over another, and that's unfortunate. And if we can alleviate that, I'd like to see us alleviate that as well, because I hear the same concern.
stay on top of that issue as well. We are now up to board forum. Are there any topics that board members would like to discuss? Then may I have a motion for adjournment, please? Mr. Preising, Mrs. Richmond, thank you for coming out. We are adjourned.